Okay, I'm
Well,
recording again. Yeah.
perfect. So welcome everyone to review your charts or enter your symbols with Daniel. And we're going to get to this in just a second. And if you have any symbols already in mind, by all means, please put them into the chat and we're going to pull them up. Also put the time frame that you have in mind, and I'd be happy to review these symbols with you. But we're going to spend 5 minutes just about talking about who we are. In fact, if you don't know me or us yet, we are TradingIndicators.com. So it's an online store where we host our most popular flagship indicators. They're all self-made. Our background is in finance and software engineering. So all our products that we've built they've been built up from the ground by our team and by myself. And we've been doing this for almost 10 years now. So we have extensive experience in building chart indicators, fully automated strategies, trading dashboards, trading scanners, and so forth. And one tool I'm going to show you today is our latest innovation. And as you will see, as you're going to pull up these symbols, it is so useful in annotating your chart of everything that is noteworthy. So you don't have to do it from a technical analysis point of view. We call this also our AI charting assistant. And you will see as we go through the symbols, it will do most of the heavy lifting for you. And then, you as a trader, you can use this information to come up with nice trade ideas. But before we're going to get to this tool, let me quickly introduce myself. So my name is Daniel Sinnig. I'm born and raised in Germany, as you probably guessed, but I've been living in Montreal for the last 25 years. And I'm a software engineer by training. And, for the longest time in my career, my objective was to become a professor in software engineering. So I went through all the levels. I did my master's, my PhD, I did a postdoc. I was teaching at various universities in and around Montreal in software engineering. I even have a radio professor profile if you want to look me up. But you know what? While I was doing all this in academia, I was always fascinated by the world of trading. So I started trading on the side. And as you start off, you make all kinds of mistakes. You overtrade, you trade when market conditions are not right, you take too much risk. That's definitely something I've done. And you revenge trade and so forth. And after donating quite a bit of money to the markets, I came to the hard realization, oh man, trading is not as straightforward as I thought, and I need help. And for me, as a software engineer, needing help meant I need better tools to help me make better trading decisions. All right, so I rolled up my sleeves and I started programming. And the first tools that we have built at the TradingIndicators.com, they've been written completely for our own purpose to help us make better trading decisions. But then we thought, so if they help us, perhaps others will find them useful as well. This is really how the story behind TradingIndicators.com started. And now in the last 10 years, we've built way over 500 trading indicators for clients all over the world. We have many clients in the US, in Canada, where we're from, in Europe, in Asia, even Australia and Africa. So really all over the place, which makes it super, super exciting. And we have one common objective is to, create trading tools which help us make better trading decisions. All right. So, but enough about us. Let me quickly also remind you that, trading does contain substantial risk. And if you trade, make sure to only use risk capital, which is capital that you can actually afford to lose. When it comes to backtest performance or hypothetical performance, keep in mind that this is not necessarily indicative of future performance, and any trades or trade ideas reviewed during the session should not be construed as trade advice. These are for informational purposes only. All right, so with the lawyers being happy now, and we're going to get to the chart in just a second, let me, show you one revelation that we had about a year ago. So we noticed that any chart, it doesn't matter what chart it is. It could be a 5-minute chart, it could be an hourly chart, it could be a daily chart, it could be a futures chart, a stock chart, an FX chart, a crypto chart. It doesn't matter. Every single chart has so-called landmarks. These are special areas of price, zones of price, which have interesting properties. And for example, this could be an area where price is magnetically torn to, or an area of price where price cannot go any further. So price will react to these zones in very special ways. And if we can spot these zones on your price chart, we can find interesting trade ideas in the process. So we've seen this over and over again. But the thing is, these landmarks, oftentimes, they are not easy to spot. And oftentimes we only know about them after the fact, once price has reacted to them. But wouldn't it be cool if we were able to find these landmarks, these zones beforehand, before price reacts to them? So we asked ourselves the very same question. Well, so then we started programming, and we have developed an indicator which will help us to spot exactly these zones. And this indicator is called Liquidity IQ. And I talked in the very beginning about an AI-based charting assistant. This is exactly what this indicator does. It will point out to you directly on your price chart where these important levels are. It also annotates your chart with some callouts, something that we call mentor mode, where certain interesting events such as a zone break or a liquidity capture actually called out directly on the chart. What we're going to do today is we're going to use this indicator as our primary guide to analyze charts and symbols. All right, so without further ado, let me switch over to TradingView. We're going to use TradingView as the platform of choice today, but this indicator works for all major platforms. It works for NT8, for NinjaTrader 8, for MetaTrader, for other ones, for Thinkorswim, for ModifWave, and other platforms as well. All right, so switching over to my TradingView. All right, there we go. Just going to drag this in. Perfect. I'm going to hide this indicator for now. And guys, which charts should we be looking at? Do we see any symbols in the list? So I do see Robert. Hi, Robert. He wants to look at the ES chart, the S&P index futures. All right, NCL, okay, crude as well. All right, so let me go to ES. And you're requesting the 10-minute time frame. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to just hide these indicators here. We don't need them. Perfect. Okay, so the 10-minute time frame. There we go. Perfect. What do we see here? And I have also already applied our Liquidity IQ indicator to it. Let me just quickly hide a couple of features so it's not so overwhelming in the beginning. So I'm going to switch this off. And I'm also going to switch off. I'm going to switch those back later on, the setup box right here. Okay, so as this is recalculating, we're going to analyze this chart. All right, thank you. Perfect. All right, so what do we see on this chart of, oh, this is not loaded properly. I think this is because I'm connected to my broker. Let me just disconnect. Sometimes if I connect to interactive brokers, things don't open up properly. So let me quickly, bear with me for 1 second. Just do ES here. I don't think I had the rolling contract on, and this should be better now. Perfect. All right, now we're in business. Excellent. So the ES futures on the 10-minute time frame, and the first thing we see right off the bat, and it doesn't require a PhD in finance to see it, we are approaching this green zone up here. Do you see this? All right, so this is what we call a resistance zone because it's above price. And oftentimes, when price approaches resistance, guess what happens? Well, as the name suggests, price will have a hard time going further higher. It will resist price, so to say, and it is not unlikely that price will bounce off this zone towards the middle, in between this resistance zone up here and this support zone. And this not only works with resistance, it works the opposite with support. Look at this one here. Price went down all the way to the support level. We knew about this level all the way back here already. It bounced to a little bit, but then afterwards, it had a hard time moving further down. Here, nice bounce exactly at the dot, pretty much. Price went up. So we are now in a very similar situation where price is indeed approaching this support zone. And we can keep an eye on this chart for the next couple of minutes to see if this actually happens, if price approaches this zone further, but then has a hard time powering through this zone and will instead bounce off towards the middle of this area between support and resistance. And you know what, guys, this is actually one of my favorite trades because as a scalper, and this is definitely a scalping setup here, and what you can do is you can bet of course in quotes, bet on the fact that price will not be able to power through the zone and instead bounce to the middle. And what you can do is you can enter short right in the middle of the zone, perhaps up here. Let price come to you. Don't chase price, be patient. Put your stop loss just above this area here, perhaps at 521. And you target perhaps somewhere in the middle. This gives you a really great reward to risk ratio because your stop is really, really nearby. And should we be right? Should price bounce off this resistance zone? Well, then we can make a nice scalp trade here. All right. So this is what I see on the short term, basis for ES. One thing that makes me a little bit skeptical. I'm going to show you well, if this actually holds up. Not every zone is always respected because eventually every resistance zone is broken, as every support zone is broken as well. One thing that makes me a bit skeptical is, I'm going to switch on this indicator here, is that our secondary indicator, I'm going to discuss this in a second. Let me just hide liquidity IQ. It actually currently shows a bull signal here. We just switched momentum from bearish to bullish, and it's not ideal. I would have loved to seen a case where we had bearish momentum still in place and prices approaching resistance zone, because that gives you extra confirmation, extra confluence that price is likely to bounce bearish towards the downside. All right, we're going to discuss this indicator in just a second. So let me hide it again and put back on liquidity IQ. And since we're on the topic of ES, Robert, let me explain to you a few more features that this indicator has. So I'm going to go to the settings here, and I will now switch on what we call mentor mode. And once this is switched on, you will see that certain elements, it just takes a second to compile, certain elements are now annotated. Look at this. It actually clearly shows you, well, up here, this is a resistance zone. It even tells you what is the estimated range of this resistance zone, because it's very important to realize that we're talking about zones here. These are not lands in the sand, lines in the sand. These are actually zones. And the indicator is smart enough to give this area a certain width, and this expands or contracts depending on how volatile the current market is. If we have a more volatile market situation, then the zone is a bit bigger. If it's very calm and with low volatility, the zone becomes a bit smaller. And the same holds true for the support zone down here. All right, let's see what else do we see. This is one of my favorite events here. Do you see this one here? This happened, when did it happen? On Friday in the morning. Price, in this case, it was the opposite. It bounced, or it moved towards this support zone, which we knew about all the way back here. And at the same time, we had these shaded areas here. Do you see this one here? This shaded area. These are what we call liquidity captures. And if these happen near a support zone, oftentimes it's a telltale sign that something is off. Something is happening on this level, because these captures happen only if we also have abnormally high volume. And if these happen and coincide near a support zone, it is not unlikely that price will bounce off this zone and go to the upside. There's like an extra confirmation as well. So if I go here, we do not have this event yet. Maybe we're going to see one as price develops. There's no liquidity capture towards the upside here at this resistance zone. If we see one, this could be some extra confirmation that something is happening at these levels. Perhaps somebody is buying out all the liquidity. Big block orders of sell block orders are stepping in, preventing price from moving further, from going through this zone, and instead price will move further down. All right, so this is this, and let me just scroll back a little bit. There we go. Okay.
Hey, Daniel.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but I was just thinking if you collapse the trading panel.
Yes, that's a good point.
Give
But
people
it's
more
better. Yeah.
surface
Okay.
area to see. Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, David. Yeah, good point. I actually was thinking the exact same thing, believe it or not. Anyways, okay. So, I've talked about these levels of support. Look at this beautiful support level here, which we know all about here. Price went down. It, penetrated a little bit, but then we had this liquidity capture event here. Again, a telltale sign that, hey, price may reverse, and exactly this happened as well. So here, price reversed off the support zone to the upside. But you know what? Every once in a while, these levels are of course broken. They will not last forever. Nothing lasts forever. Also, these levels will not last forever. And this is also flagged by this indicator. For example, here, we did have a zone break event, bit of a retrace afterwards, but then price really took off, as you can see here, after this important level at the time was broken. Yeah, another interesting setup. If we see a zone break, it could be an interesting idea to enter long if a resistance zone is broken, or vice versa, if a support zone is broken. Let me just quickly see if we can find an interesting support zone break. And for example, here, a nice support zone break, price then went down. You can capitalize in this process. All right, perfect. So this is another feature that we have, but I want to show you one last one. Let me go back to the recent price action. We can see price is still hovering in this resistance area. But let me switch on one more feature, and then we're going to go to some other symbols. All right, so back to the settings right here. Oops, there we go. And I'm going to go down here to this one here, show setup box. All right, so actually the indicator is smart enough to identify if we currently have an interesting trade setup. All right, so I already mentioned this before. Price is approaching this resistance zone, and it is not unlikely that it may bounce off to the short side. Well, look what's written down here. The setup that the indicator identified is short bounce. Exactly this. They will even tell you where should you put your stop. You can see it really just above this resistance zone at 5,522, which is somewhere around here. See this? And your target being at 5,466. Even though that will be a very optimistic target here, the idea was, hey, if we fail at this level, maybe price will come all the way down to the support zone. Maybe a bit too optimistic, but it will give you a great reward risk of 9.83 if you were to enter into this trade now. And oftentimes in trading, it's all about, finding a setup which gives you potentially a great reward with very little risk. So this would be one such setup. With a very tight stop loss, if it pans out, price goes all the way down here while you're in for a great payday. And something just happened here. Look at this, guys. In live action, we did have a liquidity capture event just now. You can see it here, this little shaded area. It's also called out. It just happened at this box, the last bar. I was almost anticipating it. It just happened. This is a bar with abnormally high volume. If we were to put on the volume chart, we could see the volume of this bar. Actually, let me just perhaps do this real quick. Put up volume. There are some other criteria too, but let me just see here. You can see that volume in general in this zone was higher than usual. You can see it spiked up. And we have this event just at this level. And let's see what happens. Maybe we will see a nice bounce to the downside. All right. Okay, guys. So this was, yes. Which other symbols do we have? Let me see. Robert wants to look at CL, crude. Okay. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. All right, crude oil. What do you have crude here? So it's the exact same process. We just changed symbols, and right off the bat, the indicator will tell you what's going on. And this is a very different symbol. It's CL, but we are, by luck of the draw, in a similar situation. We are also approaching a resistance zone up here. You can see it. And we had a beautiful bounce prior to this. So price wicked up into the zone. We did have liquidity capture at this level, rejected price from moving higher, and instead it bounced nicely to the downside. And the real cool thing about this is, guys, we knew about this level, or the indicator knew about this level. And if you're using the indicators, you would have also known about this important level all the way back here. It started here when this line starts. There's no repainting going on. So on Sunday, when the market opened at 10 p.m., 10:20 p.m., we knew about this level. And look how nicely it has held up. Similar to the support level down here. Look how price bounced up from it. And this would have been the opposite trade that we just called out for ES. Price approaches support, bounces off, and then instead it will go all the way up to this resistance level. An amazing trade. Would we have captured it? With a great reward risk, because your stop loss would be just a bit below this support zone. And we knew about this level all the way back here. Thursday at 9 p.m. We knew about the significance of that level. And now once again, price is approaching this resistance zone after this nice bounce. Let's see what happens. We can keep an eye on it. And one thing I didn't mention previously, look at what's written here. We have this resistance zone between 79.08 and 79.22 with a capture count of 1. What does that mean? Well, that means that in this, at this region of price or zone of price, we so far had 1 liquidity capture. Okay, 1 is well, more than 0, so we had 1, but had we had more of these little shaded areas, it would have been pointed out here as well. And once again, the trade idea that the indicator came up with is once again a short bounce. Yeah, very similar to ES that you would enter short. I would wait a bit longer for price to come around the 79.10 area maybe. Enter short MCL with a stop loss just a bit above this resistance zone in the expectation or anticipation that price will bounce to the lower side. All right. Okay. So let me see. What else do we have? So we had ES, we had CL. Now let me scroll down. Bill wants to look at plus. And Bill, which time frame do you have in mind for this one? Bill 7. Please also put the time frame in so I know which context in which context I should discuss these setups. All right, so let's open up plus. There we go. Okay, of course it's not a future. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna use here. I'm just gonna make an estimated guess of the daily time frame. All right, so or if you like more from a swing trading perspective, actually for swing trading, and this is just a preference of mine, I like to apply the 4-hour time frame for my chart, which gives us very nicely 2 bars per day. And then this is the cool thing, guys. Let me just go in here. I am configuring. I didn't discuss this feature yet. I am configuring my liquidity IQ indicator to use the daily time frame as its reference point. Interesting. What did I do just here? Well, we are looking at the 4-hour time frame, which is a bit more fine-grained than the why is it not calculating? 1 second. It's just still calculating, I believe. For some reason, let me just maybe change it to the 1 hour. Give me a second. There we go. I know what's going on here. I think what we had on this chart, and I think my thing is a bit frozen. Oh boy. Yeah, this is actually this is a setup. This is one of the glitches of TradingView. For some symbols, we don't know exactly what the reason for that is. The higher time frame calculations are not functioning properly. Why higher time frame calculation? Remember, I just told you that we are on the 1 hour chart here, but I wanted the liquidity IQ to analyze the daily time frame instead. So we're using multiple time frames to do our calculations. For some reason, there's only a handful of symbols. This just happened to be one of them. This is not calculated properly. This is a TradingView glitch. It's only related to TradingView. So I'm going to move on from this symbol. Maybe I'm going to come back to this one just a bit later. So let me go to CRM, another symbol that was requested, Salesforce. All right. So with any luck, now we're going to have a proper calculation. There we go. Okay, so this looks better. So as I mentioned before, this is something that happens on a handful of symbols. But it's a TradingView glitch. So this is something that they would need to resolve on their end. Okay, so what do we have here? That's an interesting symbol. So we are here. All right, so what do we have? we have our support zone around 210, just around here. We can see it. All right. We are in between support and resistance, but not near any zone really. That's why also it says here there's no setup right now because we're just somewhere in no man's land to some degree. We have our resistance zone all the way up here. All right, so this is okay. Let me just see what's going on this chart. It's a bit of a wild chart, to tell you the truth, with lots of gaps in between. We had a huge gap down after earnings. So if you look here on June, when was it? June or May 29, the earnings came in. I guess they were not as expected. We had this huge gap down. Price tried to fill this gap. This is not something that is uncommon. It happens a lot. But in this case, it seems to me that this gap is just too big. There's a whole science to this whole thing. When gaps are likely to get filled and when not. This has to do how big these gaps are. In this case, this gap was huge, and price attempted to fill it, but since then has declined. Now approaching this support zone here. I mean, I definitely do see a bearish outlook on the stock. It is not unlikely that price will revisit this zone here around 210. We may see a bounce off it, but overall it is a fairly bearish stock. It's a bit all over the place too, so it's not as clean as you may want to see it. But let me just quickly do one thing. Let me put on MA Rush, our momentum indicator. Let's just see what MA Rush is showing us. I can look at it here. All right, so the way this indicator works, and actually we back tested this over and over again, is that we'll do also a multi-time frame calculation to indicate to you in which direction is the momentum currently pointing to. Is it rather bullish or is it bearish? As you can see here, and these changes in directions are flagged, and we have the signals here. So here we are bearish, price went down, then change it to bullish. We had a beautiful move up, then a bit of bearish, then another huge bullish move, and so forth. And we did have just what was it? Before the earnings, and mid-May, we did have that shift to bearish, and we actually tested this. If you were only to follow these signals, completely mechanical, whenever it turns to bullish, you go long. Whenever it turns to bearish, you go short. You actually have a quite a profitable trading system on your hand as well for most symbols. So we back tested this, and it's the same case here. We had this nice bearish signal. Price then, of course, thanks to the earnings report coming in, really dropped hard, and we're still with bearish momentum. And if we use this momentum indication as additional confirmation, as I said before, it is not unlikely that price will revisit this support zone down here. So for me, yeah, this stock, even though it's a bit all over the place, definitely has a bearish outlook. All right, so moving on. Sinnig. Okay, again from Bill. I hope, Bill, it's not one of these stocks again, which has a hard time with our indicator. Let's see if any luck this will calculate properly. All right. Okay, perfect, much better. Okay, so here, once again, we are on the hourly time frame. What do we see? So price is this is an interesting setup. Again, not the cleanest one still, but we did have a break here. You can see it here. Let me just hide MA Rush a little bit. We did have a break above this resistance zone. So price broke, it retraced, but I'm broke again. And now it retraced once again after this significant break here again, this gap up back to this resistance zone. And this is something, once again, it's a setup that I like to trade, not on the symbol here. This is a bit too messy to me. But after a zone break happened, I actually don't want to enter. Oftentimes I don't enter on this actual break signal. Instead, I want price after the break to come down, retrace back to this broken resistance zone. And guess what happens when resistance is broken? It will act as support. We've heard it all before, that support can become resistance and resistance can become support. And look what happened here. We had this beautiful zone break, price went up, then retraced, it bounced off. Where did it bounce off? Well, at this broken level, at this broken resistance zone, which is now acting as support. Up again, down again, acting as support. These are nice little scalping opportunities to enter into your trade. Once again, I really like this one because I can put my stop loss just a little bit below this broken resistance zone. If I'm wrong, well, I'll lose a little bit. Of course, this is not, well, it doesn't work out all the time, but if I'm right, I might see a very nice move up, much higher than what we see here. This stock, again, once again, is a bit messy, a bit all over the place. But if you have a nice trending stock, and if you see a zone break and the retracement back to the broken zone, this can be prime opportunities to enter into a trend trade. And we see a bit of this right now. We have the zone break, price then retraced back to this broken resistance zone. You can see it bounced off a little bit, and you may see a bit of a higher bounce here. So to me, if I had to guess in which direction Sanmina is gonna go, well, I have a bit of a bullish outlook here. So I definitely see that this stock is moving a bit higher, perhaps towards this prior resistance zone at 69, perhaps. Yeah, and if you switch on MA Rush, I'm pretty certain that no, actually we do have bearish momentum on MA Rush. Well, that's what I meant. It's a bit all over the place. So overall, it felt a bit bullish just by looking at this recent history, and look how beautiful this bull signal here that came in. Huge follow through. We had earnings. Look at this. What happened here? And this is, of course, hindsight is always 2020, but we had earnings coming in April 30th. We're all the way up here. Price actually gapped down. When the market opened, this is a gap down all the way down here. And guess where it gapped down to? At the support level, which we knew about, well, a day earlier. The line started here. This is not repainted. So it gapped down here. We had a liquidity capture, of course, as you may expect after the earnings report. This bar had abnormally high volume, gapped down exactly to this level, and then bounced very nicely off this level. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? Meta, Facebook. All right. Okay. What do we see here? All right. Let's go to the end. Facebook. Okay, so we have bullish momentum. This is the hourly chart. So since Wednesday last week, yeah, price gapped up overnight. Now it gapped up above this resistance zone. We had a zone break here, so we knew about this resistance zone all the way back here. Price gapped up overnight, and ever since it's been trading above resistance. And you know what? It is not unlikely that price, it retraced a little bit here, went higher, it retraced again. I mean, we don't know if it's happening or not, but it's not unlikely that price will go, or if it does, if it retraces all the way to this broken resistance zone, this could be a very nice opportunity to enter long into Meta. I would not chase it right now. We have this broken zone, prices trading above resistance. We may see more of a retracement. And trading is always about being patient. I much rather, I know Warren Buffett would disagree because he once said his biggest mistake, or one of the biggest mistakes he's ever made, is to miss out on a great trading opportunity. So he doesn't really regret the losing trades that he had. Of course, everybody does have losing trades. He said, wow, the biggest regret that I have is that I didn't enter into this winning trade. But to me, and this is a personality problem, I'm a bit the opposite. I hold no regrets for missed out opportunities. It is just what it is. But I don't want to chase anything. So I'd rather wait for this price to come all the way down to this resistance zone, and then potentially enter into this long trade with my stop loss real tight than to chase it right now. So I do definitely see bullish momentum on Facebook, on Meta. But in terms of trading, it's not the right time. We don't really know what's happening. It's not unlikely that price will retrace further. If it does, and if we still have bullish momentum when it does, this could be a very nice long opportunity for Meta. All right. Okay, so, Forex now. Pound USD. All right, let's check it out. Pound USD. And here we're going to use a shorter time frame. I believe that there's not too many Forex investors out there. Just quickly switch my reference time frame for liquidity IQ to something more reasonable, maybe 30 minutes. All right, so this is just recalculating, and let's see what we see. All right, so, okay. Well, pound USD on the 5 minutes. We are in between support and resistance. So price is definitely closer to support than it is to resistance. But what's perhaps noteworthy here on this symbol is that we have the support level here at around 126,500, which we knew about since Sunday night. Momentum shifted to bearish. Price initially went down, but then bounced off twice nicely off this support level. Once here, once here. So if you were to enter into a long bounce trade, could have been a nice idea. Now price has been going up ever since. Now it's a long way to go all the way to this resistance level, but we may see a bit of more follow through after this bullish momentum shift in pound USD. It would have been a nice opportunity here. Now we're somewhat in no man's land, something I would not engage right now. I like to trade when price is near these levels, because that's what you get, these great trading opportunities when it's near these levels. All right, what else do we have? And guys, if you have any questions besides just putting in the symbols, please let me know. All right. I don't see any symbols coming in. Please, guys, don't be shy if you have more symbols to look at. If not, I'm just going to go back to some of the future symbols that might be of interest today. All right. So let me see if questions are coming in. And David, do you see any questions on your end, or is it just me that does not see any symbols coming in? All right. So if not,
I'm not seeing any new ones at the moment.
Okay, so let's just go through some of the popular futures, index futures symbols. So MNQ, the Nasdaq futures. What do we see here? I'm going to use the the 5-minute time frame as our reference time frame, and we can configure liquidity IQ with. This is a bit messy, so let me just hide some of these labels here. Give me 1 second. Oops. There we go. Momentum mode off. All right, so these labels are hidden. In just a second, once the indicator recalculates. Perfect. All right, so we just broke above resistance. We had our nice zone break signal here. Our price initially moved up a little bit, then retraced back to this broken zone, which now acts as support. And then price has been moving up ever since. We also did have a nice momentum shift from, this is on a short-term basis, from bearish to bullish, with a nice follow through afterwards. So we are here, the indicator identifies as a long break setup. So resistance was broken to the upside. We had one retracement and price nicely followed through to the upside. And yeah, I definitely do see, at least on a short-term basis, a bit of an upside momentum on NQ. I would not enter into a trade again. It's a bit too late now. We had better opportunities to enter into NQ, for example, here on this zone break signal. Now go enter to the long side. Price retraced beautifully twice to this broken zone, went up again. Another zone break here, a retracement now. It's going higher. But I would stay on the sidelines for now, even though I do see a bullish momentum on this symbol. Let's have a look at ES. What happened here? Our poster child. Did we see the bounce? Oh boy. Was it the same level? Let me see. All right, what do we have here? Yeah, our zone was broken. As mentioned before, sometimes, these levels don't hold up. It didn't hold up in this case. I had a zone break here. So our thesis that price will bounce off this level was invalidated. As I mentioned before, I was a bit cautious of this because we did have this momentum shift here to bullish just before it happened. It's not ideal. What I'd like to see is still have bearish momentum and then price approaching resistance, then it is more likely that it will bounce off. Or in the opposite case, if we have bullish momentum and price approaches support, it is more likely that it will bounce off. But having this said, now that we revisit ES here, we can see that it initially, with our zone break signal here, price followed through nicely, but now it kind of stopped. And this is something where we see over and over again, is that price may bounce off this level, which is now acting as support, and then it will go to the upside. So we may see this. We have 20 or 50 minutes left in this. So the price will go down a little bit towards this broken resistance zone, and price may bounce off to the upside. Let's see what happened with MCL. All right. So yeah, we're right in the middle now, still in this zone. We do have bullish momentum. Once again, this is not ideal. We did have a couple of liquidity captures coming in. Yeah, let's see what happens. The indicator already thinks it's a zone break, even though we are still in the middle. We may still see a bit of a bounce to the downside. So let's see how this one plays out. Let's we have gold. Let's look at gold. What do we have at gold? All right. So here we have this again, the 5-minute time frame. That's a cool trade too. Or a cool setup, which I sometimes play. So here we have this particular setup if price is almost exactly in the middle between support and resistance. So here we have resistance, all the way down here we have support, and price is really almost in the middle. Now, when we have a situation like this, we simplify our trading completely. We're just going to make an estimated guess as to which zone, it's going to be one or the other for sure. Price will either go down to the support zone or will go up to this resistance zone next. So it has to go to one or the other. And we're just going to make an estimated guess. Which zone is price going to visit first? And in fact, in our case, we are going to use our MA rush momentum indication, which currently shows you bearish, to make this guess. So here, our bias would be, hey, that's rather bearish. Price may revisit our support level first. And you can formulate a trade idea around that. The price will go towards this level. All right, guys, give me just 1 second. And David, if there are any questions, please let me know. Give me just 1 second. I just have to switch my screen for just a second because my PC is about to turn off. Give me 1 second. Where's my Zoom? Okay, just 1 second. All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry, I just had to make sure my computer is not turning off. All right, so yeah, this gold trade here, I mean, we call this the magnet zone trade because one of these levels will act as, will attract price. In this case, since we have bearish MA rush momentum, our guess would be, hey, price will visit this support zone first. It's going to go down. Let's just see, what do we see on an overall perspective here? I mean, gold is a bit all over the place, big swings, and it is not unlikely that we see another swing down towards this support zone. And if we were to play this trade, if we were to bet on the fact that gold is going towards the support zone, our indicator actually shows you, okay, where should we put our target? Well, the target would be at 2,312. So just about here, just above the support zone. Why above? Well, because it's support. Price may bounce off from it, and we don't want to miss our target because of that. And our stop would be at 2,354, above this resistance zone, with a reward risk ratio of 0.73. It's not great. I definitely always want to see a reward risk ratio greater than 1. But what you can do here is you can be patient, perhaps wait for price to pull back a bit further improve your reward risk ratio, and then enter into this short trade. And one cool thing I didn't show you guys yet is we actually do have a feature built into this indicator, which will show you where these targets and stops are directly on your price chart. Let's have a look here. It shows you stop is all the way up here, just above resistance, and your target being just above support. And the reason for this is very simple, because support, acting as support, price may bounce off from it. So you want your target to be a bit above it. And simple resistance, if price goes up, well, it may stop going further at this resistance level. So we place our stop just above it as well. All right. All right, so let me just go perhaps to one more, Bitcoin futures. Let's see if we see anything interesting in Bitcoin. All right, so what do we have here? Well, price being, once again, somewhat in the middle between support and resistance. Let me just quickly switch off these levels. Give me 1 second, so we're not confused by those. Where are we? There we go. Okay. Okay, perfect. So once this is recalculated, it will no longer show these levels. And what do we see here? Well, we did see that price bounced off twice very nicely with a lot of liquidity captures. You can see these shaded areas here at the 6,500, 300 level. Bounced off here, came back again, bounced off again, and now price is somewhat in the middle between support and resistance. The overall momentum in Bitcoin is, however, bearish. We can see it here. Yeah, with some nice follow-throughs. So this would, again, if you were to trade the symbol with this overall bearish outlook, you could set up a short trade where the anticipation is that price will visit this support level towards the bottom, but your reward risk ratio would be only 0.46 because your target would be somewhere here, but your stop loss all the way above this resistance zone with a fairly poor reward risk ratio. All right, perfect. So we can look at some symbols a bit later on, but I would like to point something else out for you guys. So let me just quickly go back to my slides. And so we've seen now Liquidity IQ, our charting assistant, which shows you these levels here. Basically does an instant technical analysis of your price chart. And I use it for all my trading as my starting indicator, because I can see right away at a glance where all these levels are. Gives me a lot of context of what's going on this chart. And this works on any time frame and any symbol and any chart type. But we've also seen MA Rush. I use both indicators in combination because MA Rush shows you very nicely which direction momentum is currently pointing to. Is it rather bullish or bearish? And oftentimes I use this as my extra bias or extra confirmation if I want to take a trade. For example, I would only go into a long trade if at the same time MA Rush is also currently showing bullish momentum, and vice versa for short trades. So it's a great filter indicator for this to filter out your trade ideas. And they work really nicely together. So Liquidity IQ, where you see all these levels and events on your chart, with your momentum indications of MA Rush, they work great together. We call them the dynamic duo because they complement each other very nicely. And these two indicators, they work for all major platforms. So for TradingView, of course, you've seen it here, but also for NinjaTrader, Motivwave, a great platform. If you haven't seen it yet, Google it. Motivwave is one of the bit of a niche player, but it has beautiful charting and lots of innovative features built in. But these two indicators also work for MetaTrader 4 and 5 and Think or Swim. And we do have a special offer prepared for this group. And perhaps, David, you can paste this link into the chat as well, where you can get lifetime access to our Liquidity IQ super package at a very discounted price. So it's really lifetime. You're never going to be asked for any payment again. And you're going to get our Liquidity IQ indicator for life, which does this instant technical analysis on your price chart. You're also going to get 6 bonuses. And one of these bonuses is our MA Rush indicator, also for life. As I mentioned before, these two complement each other very nicely. You'll also be invited to our next live trading workshop. And there's a bit of a typo here. So let me just quickly fix this in 1 second, because that our live trading workshop is taking place on July 10th. What we're going to do in that workshop, now I fixed it, we're going to live trade with real money, our own money, the market open, and we're going to day trade it. So we're going to try to enter into a trade, but also close out the trade using Mirage and Liquidity IQ, these two indicators. So that's going to give you a lot of context of how we look at the market when we potentially execute a trade and what needs to come together for us to execute a trade. So you will be invited to this very personal live trading workshop. So we're only going to open this up for a handful of people. Bonus number 3, and that I believe is perhaps the most valuable one, you're going to become an exclusive member of our trading community. And as such, you will be invited to our exclusive live market sessions, which take place every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. In those sessions, you can ask questions. You're going to learn about tips and tricks. We're going to do live market analysis. And these take place every single Tuesday. So it's a great touch base point for everyone just to learn a bit more, to perhaps give some feedback, or to just come together as a community. These are led by these are all led by me and by our team members. You will also be invited to our Discord channel. We can get instant questions answered. Discord is like a chat-based system. You can ask the question there with our moderator, Rick, who's looking out for all of you guys. You're going to get access to this exclusive Discord channel as well. And there are 2 ebooks, 1 ebook and 2 video guides as well. And if you want to take advantage of this offer, all you need to do is to go to TimingResearch.com/zone. The link is also in the chat. And it's a special deal for $9.97 lifetime access with all these features built in. All right, so think about, guys. For me, I'll use these 2 indicators every single day in my trading. I could not live without it. And by joining or by taking advantage of this package, you will also get these 2 indicators along with our live sessions and becoming part of our community. All right, perfect. So let me see, are there any other questions? Great presentation. Thanks, Daniel. Okay, great. You're welcome, of course. Okay. There are no more questions. How much time do we have? Let me switch quickly back to our charting one more time, just to see what's happening with our oil trade. So here, let's see. So we did see oil was approaching this level of resistance, and we can see a bit of hesitation. Price it wicked above it, but then has retraced since, and we are at this resistance level. And as I said before, it is not unlikely that we may see a bit of a retrace towards the downside. The only hesitation here is that we do have bullish momentum. It's not ideal. I love setups where we have bearish momentum. It happens sometimes. And we have this resistance zone being approached. That will magnify your odds that price will actually bounce to the short side. All right. And can you briefly look at ES? Okay, ES again. All right, there we go. Okay, what do we have here? We do see a bit of a retracement. Not too much. So yeah, ES broken out. We are on a long break scenario. The indicator has flagged it out here. Price is moving higher. I would not engage into this trade right now. Just stay on the sidelines. If price retraces, which oftentimes happens, back to this broken resistance zone, this could be a great opportunity to enter into a high reward risk trade. Put your stop loss just below this broken zone and anticipate a move higher to the upside, because the broken resistance level will now act as support. All right. Okay. Great. So Matt is asking, what is your average entry drawdown? Well, that's a question I cannot answer here, because drawdown always depends on how your position sizing is handled, how much risk you trade per trade, how aggressive or conservative you are with your trade, meaning where is your stop loss? Do you want to have it really tight, be super aggressive, or a bit perhaps more conservatively, put it wider? So all these questions, these are personal questions, and your drawdown always is an equation of where these levels are. So even if it's just one contract, It depends on the situation, on the market conditions, how wide these zones are. I mentioned these zones here, these support and resistance zones, they grow and shrink based on volatility. If markets are very volatile, you will need, these zones will be bigger. And if you want to put your stop loss below these zones, well, it's going to be wider away, increasing your exposure potentially. If market conditions are calm with low volatility, it's the opposite. These zones will be smaller and it allows you to put your stop loss a bit nearer. But yeah, let's keep an eye on this. Perhaps you guys can keep an eye on that to see if price may retrace back to this broken resistance zone all the way back to this level. If it does, this could be a nice opportunity to enter long, especially since we have bullish momentum. So this would, it's a nice confidence trade. Momentum is bullish, price just retraced, it is at a support level. And therefore, not unlikely that price will bounce off. Your stop loss could be very nearby. And if it pans out, you could be in for a very nice treat. All right. Perfect. So David, I think that's pretty much it from my side. Just one quick reminder, if you want to take advantage of the special offer, it's TimingResearch.com/zone, and this is for life.